Kyojuro guided Yuki through the gardens, showing her around the home he grew up in. The two held hands as they gazed up at the night sky. The crickets were chirping as they continued to walk through the gardens. As they walked, Kyojuro knew what he wanted to do, but he couldn't help but feel nervous. Yuki could tell he was thinking about something and gently squeezed his hand. "Is there something on your mind, Kyojuro?" "No. I'm just glad we are finally getting some time to ourselves, don't you think?" "I know. It's so peaceful just spending time with you. It's been so long since we got the time to be alone." "I know, but tonight it can just be the two of us. We can spend all night together and just talk." Yuki chuckled as the two of them walked together, before Kyojuro let go of Yuki's hand. She looked at him confused. "Kyojuro? Why did you let go? Are you sure that nothing's wrong?" Kyojuro chuckled, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. "I'm sure. Just close your eyes for me, okay?" Yuki was even more confused at the request. "Close my eyes? What for?" "Trust me. Just close your eyes and let me guide you. There's a special place I want to show you, okay?" Yuki couldn't help but chuckle before she closed her eyes. "All right, Kyo. My eyes are closed." Kyojuro gently took her hand, guiding her down a gravel path. He made sure that she didn't trip or run into anything as he guided her. After a few minutes, he stopped to move out of her way. "All right. You can open your eyes now." Yuki opened her eyes, being met with a beautiful sight. There were fairy lights all around, illuminating the small garden before her. There was a small table set up with a few desserts, as well as a bottle of wine. "Kyojuro, what is all of this?" He chuckles, grabbing a cupcake from the table and handing it to her. "Well, I did want us to spend some time alone tonight, so I asked Sanjiro to set this up for us." Yuki couldn't help but blush as she took the cupcake from his hand. "You didn't have to go through all this trouble just for me, you know." He chuckled, giving Yuki a kiss before sitting down at the table, gesturing for her to sit down with him. "I know I didn't, but I wanted to treat you like a queen tonight." She blushed as she sat down across from him, taking a bite of the cupcake she was holding. She got a bit of frosting on her nose as she took the bite. She chuckled as she tried to wipe it off. "I guess you can't take me anywhere. I'm just making a mess of myself." Rengoku chuckled as well, reaching to wipe the frosting off her face. "It's all right, my love. No one is perfect." He licked the frosting off his finger, giving Yuki a wink. Yuki's face flushed even more from the embarrassment she felt, looking away and covering her face. "Kyojuro, that's so embarrassing!" Kyojuro let out a loud laugh as he stood up to grab Yuki's hand. "It isn't embarrassing, my dear. It's just us here right now, so no one is going to see what we are doing." He walked over to a small stool and grabbed the blanket that was sitting on top of it. He unfolded it and spread it across the soft grass before sitting down. He glanced up at Yuki and gestured for her to join him. "Here, come sit down next to me." Yuki lets out a soft giggle as she sits down next to him on the blanket. "What's the blanket for? Are we going to have a picnic on the ground instead of at the table?" "I guess you could say that." He chuckled before he put his arm around her and pulled her down to lay back. Yuki was surprised by what he did, and her face flushed more than it already was. She looked at him with a surprised expression. "What are you doing, Kyo?" she questioned, her voice stuttering from the embarrassment. Kyojuro chuckled again as he pulled her closer to him, laying her down on her back. "Isn't the sky beautiful tonight?" he asked, laying on his back next to her, keeping his arm wrapped around her as he gazed up at the night sky. "The sky?" Yuki asked, her gaze now falling on the night sky. She saw that the sky was clear and filled with stars that brightly shined. The moon's glow lit up the ground around them, only adding to the serene atmosphere. "Wow, it's beautiful." "It is," he quietly spoke, before looking at Yuki with a loving gaze. "But not as beautiful as you, my snowflake." Yuki gave Kyojuro a small smile as she looked at him. She appreciated the compliment before speaking. You're Snowflake. Wow. It's been a while since I've heard you call me that. I know, but it's also been a long time since we've had the chance to be alone. I know. Everything has just been so crazy the past few months that we really haven't had the time to just relax in each other's company. I think crazy is an understatement to describe the past few months. Kyojuro and Yuki sat there in silence for a while, staring up at the night sky. There were constellations littering the sky, and the stars slowly moved as it went later into the night. As they stared up at the sky, they both watched a star shoot across it, lighting it up for a brief moment. Yuki's eyes lit up seeing the star, excitedly pointing at the sky. Did you see that, Kyo? I did. I haven't seen a shooting star before, but it was very pretty. He glances at Yuki and asks a simple question. Are you going to make a wish? Yuki thought about it for a moment before answering. I'm not sure. I don't really know what I would wish for. Kyojuro nodded, really wanting to ask her the one question he's been wanting to ask the whole night. He knew it was getting close to that time, so he responded to her. Anything would work. Just close your eyes and think for a moment. Take your time to figure it out. Anything that comes from the heart would be ideal. Yuki thought about it again, closing her eyes to really think about it. Kyojuro just stared at her for a moment before reaching to grab something from his pocket. He pulled his arm away from Yuki as he did so, placing his other hand on the small box now in his hand. He flipped onto his side so he was facing Yuki. He couldn't help but be nervous for what he was about to do. He took a deep breath, tucking the small box in his hands before speaking in a calm and gentle tone. Yuki, can I admit something? Yuki opened her eyes, surprised by the sudden question. She flipped onto her side as well, facing him. Of course you can. You know that you don't have to hide anything from me. I know I don't, but I'll admit that I've been keeping a secret from you. This admission confused her, and even worried her slightly. What do you mean? What kind of secret? Well, while you were in your coma after your time in the Infinity Castle, I had a conversation with Gyu. We talked about what we would want for our futures. And I knew exactly what I wanted. And I hope that you can help me make that wish come true. As he said that, he pulled up the small box, opening it to reveal a small ring. It was a simple silver band that had a light blue gemstone embedded in the center of it. He lifted the box up in front of Yuki's eyes. Yuki, the past year and a half has been so amazing, even if we weren't always together. I didn't realize how much I loved you until you had gotten taken by Akaza. That month you were missing, and followed by your long coma, made me realize just how much I wanted you to be by my side forever. So, Yuki, will you marry me? Yuki laid there stunned in silence, before her eyes started to well with tears. A smile formed across her face as a single tear fell from her eye. Of course I will, Kyojuro. Kyojuro couldn't help but shed a tear as well, lifting her hand and slipping the ring onto her finger. He pulled her into his arms, resting his head on hers. I'm so glad. I've wanted to ask you for so long. I'm so happy. I'm glad you asked. And I'm glad you said yes. Kyojuro pulled Yuki into a tender kiss, his mind now at ease, now that his wish had finally come true.